Heritage Association, and thank you to coming to our 50th year anniversary community reception. It's really fun. This is the second kind of celebration. The first one was in June, and so we're just carrying it throughout the year, and really happy to have you here. We just wrapped up our museum hours, and can all the docents raise their hand if they're here? I just want to thank our docents for sharing their knowledge and passion with the community and acting and being the tour guides and educators to the people that walk in the museum, because that's one of our missions is the museum and our exhibits. Our newest being Marvin Defoe's canoe, very well set up, and we're very happy and proud of that new exhibit. The train, Jeff is a docent down there and maintenances it really well. And thank you to all of our other supporters. These 50 years wouldn't go by as wonderfully without you. With that, Jerry Phillips, our president, couldn't be here tonight, so you'll have to wait until our next event, which we don't know when that is, to have him talk a little bit more about the past 50 years, because he's been in such an imperative part throughout. So with that excellence that we have in our local history, we also got an award for excellence in local history. And so tonight, Christian Oberlin, the director of the Wisconsin Historical Society, is here to present that award and talk a little bit more, a few words on the Reuben Thwaites Award this evening.
Just a few acknowledgments before we start. First, I have some of the staff here from the Wisconsin Historical Society. Janet Seymour, who's the director of programs and outreach, please raise your hand. Round of applause. Our tribal liaison, this evening's director of tribal relations, Rachel Byington is here. Our lead interpreter for history and public programs, Madeline Island Museum, Mr. Rob Gosselin. Rob is a member of Redcliffe Nation 2, the Superior Baptist of Chippewa, and I asked him to say a few words to open this up.
Thank you very much. It's a real honor for me to be here. I retired about 10 years ago, and I went to work at the museum on Madeline Island about 9 years ago, part-time. And my descendancy goes back to Madeline Island, both on my mother's side and on my father's side. And when I went to work at Madeline Island, it was about 2 years, and I found out that I was a direct descendant of Madeline. So from that experience, my passion has grown so much, not only about the island, but about the Madeline Island Museum and the Wisconsin Historical Society. As an elder, I guess I've earned the title in our community to do certain kinds of prayers and ceremonies. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to say a very short prayer. Welcome you all here. I'm asking the Creator, the Maker, to overlook you all and to overlook this beautiful museum. It feels so peaceful to be here and in here. So with that in mind, I ask the Wabanung, the Jawanung, the Nigaminung, the Giwainung, the Aki Manidu, the Ojawishkwakiji magazine. I ask all this earth, all these spirits that are on the earth, all these good, the Creator, to overlook this museum here, and to overlook all of you and make sure that you all keep coming back here. So then in another 100 years, we'll be even larger. Thank you.
Language.
And also I'd like to recognize a fellow member of America's 250th Commission of the State of Wisconsin, Janet Bulley, Senator Janet Bulley. She said, don't call me Senator, I'm not starting to but you know, in my position, she's always Senator. So thank you for being here tonight. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight, this special occasion. The Reuben Thwaites Award, I'm going to talk a little bit deeper about it, but it is the state of Wisconsin's highest award of history that it can offer, an award to any organization. So tonight, we're celebrating the achievements of the Bayfield Heritage Association and honor and recognition, and also getting the 2024 Reuben Thwaites Award for Excellence in Local History. I'm delighted to be here with all of you for the dedication. I'm sorry that Jerry Phillips, your board president, couldn't be here either. Jerry is a long-standing member who came off the board of Curators, but still works as a board member, and so we honor him today. But your vice chair is here, Marilyn Van Zandt, and thank you and the board of directors for your guidance. Tricia Miller, who you've heard, has been here for 2 months now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you for coming and leading this organization, the staff and the volunteers too. But more importantly, thank you to the community that supports this great organization. This award honors the accomplishments of the Bayfield Heritage Association in engaging residents, visitors, tourists with great programs for public programs and education programs, online resources, the archive as well too. But what I've really been excited about lately is how the organization, the archive, and how they really created resources to actually let people create access to it and explore it and make it explorable on this website. And this evening we're celebrating not just the achievements of the past 5 years, or the past few years of Bayfield Heritage Association, but it's also, as Marilyn said, 50 years. So going back to 1974, 50 years of service for the Bayfield region is an outstanding accomplishment. And it's really sharing stories. That's what it's all about. Collecting, preserving, and sharing stories of a wondrous place here that has its history in thousands of years of history. And if you think about it, it's just an amazing thing that you guys do to connect to the communities to do that. Each year, the Board of Curators of the Wisconsin Historical Society, and that's the governing board of the Wisconsin Historical Society, actually gives out the Reuben Thwaites Award to a single entity. And we do so by helping to connect people to the past by this recognition. The Reuben Thwaites Trophy is presented annually to one of the affiliated organizations. You have to be affiliated to the Wisconsin Historical Society. And we do that with high recognition. As I said, this is the state's highest award of history. Wisconsin's always been a leader in North American history, the centering of it. And I'm going to, say for thousands of years, I'm going to tell you why. The origination stories, the people who've been here for thousands of years, the Ho-Chunk, the people of the Big Voice, their influence of language out west in other tribes, that's why they call the people the Big Voice, centering in Wisconsin and Minnesota, but this region that we call Wisconsin today. The Menominee, another tribal nation that originated, and of course the Ojibwe. Their story of the origination of Madeline Island and the journeys east and then back here to find the food and the water. So other tribal nations here too have been here for years, centuries, thousands of years, but that's it. This center of mid-America, mid-North America of Wisconsin has been noted for that. So even going into the 19th century, merging into things such as the Wisconsin Historical Society in 1846. Not many people know that when we were starting, we worked at a state agency, right? 1848 is when the state started. We were actually put together to be a repository of North American history to actually help the citizenry of the state, or the territory, or the nations, because it wasn't really a state back then. So fast forward a little bit, state gets organized, we become an independent agency of the state. We're actually written into statute to collect, preserve, and share North American history and Wisconsin history. No other state in the Union has that statute. So, what else happens in Wisconsin in the mid-19th century, the late 19th century? The University of Wisconsin's organized, and it becomes the center of American history again, in scholarship, figuring out new methodologies. It wasn't Yale, it wasn't Harvard, it was the University of Wisconsin that was doing this. So Frederick Jackson Turner, noted for many different things in history, but he wrote a really important paper in 1891 called The Significance of History. And he really reflected on the idea that every community needed a good school and a library and museum that had historical materials that were rich. Why? Because he believed that energetic, engaged, and dedicated teachers using historical materials from the locality, from their region, to teach history would actually improve a great citizenry for the state. So furthermore from that, he believed that if you did that, history has not just an end of just documentation, but history has, in his words, an end to actually create a pathway from the past that creates light to the present and shows that pathway of how they got there into the future. I think that's rather eloquent what he was thinking about as far as local history. But then he keeps going. The idea that if you do that, the citizenry will have good thoughts, have feelings, have new energy from these historical stories, new ideas coming from it. And from that idea of history being purposeful for local communities flows into good deeds. And that's the circle of good citizenry for our nations living within a nation, as well as us living in what we call Wisconsin today. Reuben Thwaites was a colleague of his, all living in Madison. Reuben Thwaites was the second director of the Wisconsin Historical Society. He actually put together numerous things, still on a national scale. Rob and I were talking about this earlier. Rob studied Reuben extensively. I wanted to lecture on it sometime in Madeline Museum. But he did things like, he brought the diaries of Lewis Clark, he transcribed the Jesuit relations. He did transcriptions, working with Native Americans. He did a lot of different things. But what he did in 1898, struggling to think about how do we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the state, is he went to the legislature and said, you know what we should do is we should connect some affiliated organizations of history around the state and have the Wisconsin Historical Society serve them. So he took Frederick Jackson Turner's idea of good citizenry by good schools and good quality museums with rich historical materials in the state, and he activated it. So he got legislation passed in 1899, got on a train to Green Bay and to Reuben, and organized those two historical sites to be the first two affiliates of the Wisconsin State Historical Society. Today, underneath Janet's leadership, over 440 organizations are affiliated with the Wisconsin Historical Society. This model started in Wisconsin for North America and still is the largest model out there. So that is how we got here today. That is why it's called the Reuben Thwaites Award, because his passion of history having a purpose and dedicating that passion to igniting that in local communities and honoring those local communities for what they do every day. And that is why we're here tonight. So, okay, you know the past, let's talk about today. We have a review committee that actually looks at historical societies and organizations across the state. Again, they have to be affiliated. And so when they start reviewing, and they look at 5 years of activity. Are they good in the collection area? Are they good in research? Are they good in interpretation? And guess what? You guys bubbled up to the top. The review committee noted your organization has established best practices in collections care, produced high quality exhibits that are engaging, as well as public programs, and supported community and civic engagement through special initiatives. Of special note is the effort to ensure the community's history is accessible to the public by prioritizing the access to archives, making it discoverable, and the exhibits, and like I said earlier, making them available on the website. Those of you who are here tonight, look around, you can see firsthand the dedicated work that shares the community stories and experiences through recent new exhibitions, Riders on the Storm, R.D. Pike, I came up before, we talked about R.D. Pike, Marvin Defoe's Canoe, the new exhibit on there too, which is wonderful. If you don't know Marvin Defoe, he's a Red Felder, Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for Bayfield too. Built this birch bark canoe, Wagasi Jiman. Did I say that right, Rob? You can correct me. Did I say Wagasi Jiman? Is that correct? Okay. Just want to make sure. I know I'm not the best pronouncer in Ojibwe or Anishinaabe. The features of the artist's perspectives and the traditional Anishinaabe methods in creating the amazing watercraft that you see there today. So the Bayfield Heritage Association's achievements have been celebrated and well noted across the state before today. Okay, in 2020, the Bayfield Heritage Association, through looking at the John Matthews Black Woven Program series, was trying to figure out how do they keep that series going and attend to audiences in the summer of 2020, bringing it back to the pandemic when everything was shut down. They did so because they repurposed the series, they recommitted to it, they redefined it to make it based in a virtual way that was effective. And what happened with that is they blew out the pocket They went way beyond Bayfield, became a national audience, expanded beyond the boundaries, and now there's users looking at Bayfield history from all over the internet because of that. And they achieved to reach their audiences when other organizations were struggling during the pandemic. In 2021, the Board of Curators gave them the Public Program Board of Curator Award for that. So, yeah, you kind of get the story here, that someone deserved it. So, with that, the idea was that we started looking at all this historical evidence. And the Wisconsin Historical Society leadership said, you know, this is an amazing thing that's going on here. It's been growing and growing. And it may not surprise you, but tonight I'm delighted to announce that the Bayfield Heritage Association has been selected by the Wisconsin Historical Society's leadership to be the first affiliate eligible to connect to the Wisconsin History Center, the new history center that's being built in Madison in 2027. We're going to do so digitally. We've looked at what you're doing, we've looked at what you guys are doing digitally, and to give you an idea of what this means, it's like last night we had James Madison lecture. It's a national lecture that we give. Douglas Brinkley, the presidential historian, he's on MSNBC, CBN, CBS, all over the place. He's written prolific books. He gave a James Madison lecture. What that means is that we can broadcast that directly to you up here as an audience in the future. It also means, and this is why you've been selected to be the first, is that you can take your resources, your programs, and broadcast them across the state in that network too. So we're very happy that you're being able to influence not only just your audience today, but for future generations. That said, let's get to it. On behalf of the Wisconsin Historical Society Board of Curators, congratulations to the board, the staff, the volunteers, and the community of Bayfield. You have received tonight the Reuben Goldthwait Trophy for History for Local History. This celebrates your 50th anniversary as well as the 5 years of dedication and excellence that you've been performing for your community. It's an honor to present this to you. There you go. Wait, you can apply. Janet Seymour has the trophy. I'm going to say a couple more words about it and invite Mary over to receive it along with your new director, Tricia. So, the first thing is, this trophy's been around since the 50s. Okay, it is silver. It's the Stanley Cup of History. Okay, so Marathon County Historical Society, if you haven't seen it on Facebook, they found a black and white film of it being presented in the 50s. So you can see the same trophy. What I ask you is, don't just put it in a case here, take it in your community, celebrate it, bring it to your friends. It's like the Stanley Cup of History. I just don't want to see any pictures on TikTok or Facebook of you guys pouring beer in this at a bar. Okay, it's not that type of Stanley Cup, okay? So take it where you need. It's yours to celebrate for the year. Now, Marilyn, come on up. Tricia, please come up and receive the trophy. There you go. And it's engraved on that side. Congratulations. What I'm handing Tricia is also, that is actually the thing you get to keep forever. You get this for a year. And that's your recognition piece, photograph it, you can up on the wall. And then also, I have a nice letter for you too. This is for Jerry, personal letter for him too. Okay. Thank you all. I'll give the mic to Marilyn.
It's water. Thank you, Christian, for your kind words. And thank you to the Wisconsin Board of Curators for honoring BHA with this Reuben Goldthwait Trophy. We are so thrilled to have it. And Janet, you did a great job of polishing that.
I did work hard on that.
this year's recipient. As you can imagine, in any organization, 50 years history, there are many people to thank and acknowledge for its success. Starting with those in Bayfield who in 1974 laid the groundwork for today's BHA by forming the Wisconsin Historical Society. They determined that the old Bayfield County Courthouse on Washington Avenue was worth saving. And they put their minds and their efforts into raising the $750,000 that was needed to do just that. And the courthouse stands today because of their efforts. It's hard to imagine Bayfield's streetscape without that courthouse. Through the ensuing years, BHA has been blessed with outstanding leadership, and we thank and acknowledge all of those who have served and are presently serving on the board, volunteering for various tasks, and supporting this organization. I would like to ask board members, volunteers, to come forward. Lois, I see Dennis McCann, who does programs for us.
Yes.
Bob Nelson, John Douglas, Dan Wilczek. Are there others? Rick Thompson, I'm sure you've done your share over the years. These are just a few of the hundreds of volunteers who have made this organization what it is today. Now, we're going to acknowledge someone who's not able to be with us tonight, and that is Jerry Phillips. Jerry has been president for 26 of those 50 years. Mary was president for 5 of those years. That's a heck of a dedicated family who felt the purpose and the need to help share and present and preserve and all of this that Kristen just mentioned, the history of Bayfield and the surrounding area. In the last issue of our newsletter, The Courier, Jerry, who is a former, longtime member of the Board of Curators, called this award the Oscar. And he said, in the 50 years since the beginning of BHA, and he was here, I have long dreamed of our one day bringing home the trophy. Well, Jerry, it's here, and we can't wait to share it with you and all of the Bayfield community. We thank you all for being here tonight to help us celebrate our 50th anniversary, and we're looking forward to our next decade and another party in 10 years or next year.